What's going on, everyone? I just posted one of my cool, I think it's cool anyway, one of my cool abandoned schoolhouses that I found out in the middle of Nebraska. And it's got this really cool color to it. And somebody reached out and asked me if that color was like lens flare, if that came from, like the sun being in the right spot or whatever. And it was not like that at all. I put that in afterwards. And I did it because I made a pretty rookie mistake. So even though I've been taking pictures of landscapes and nature and all that stuff for the last 18 years, I still went out and I just kind of screwed up. The sun was coming from behind me, so I was taking a picture of something that way. So the sun's coming this way, and I got really close to the grass, and I had this big giant blob shadow in the picture. So it was my favorite shot of all of the pictures I took, but I had to get rid of the blob somehow. And so I had to use Photoshop. I had to edit it, and I also just used the iPad. That's all I used to edit. I'm trying to get used to just using an iPad only workflow. It's really hard right now for me to transition outside of the desktop to get to iPad only. So I wanted to show everybody that I made a big mistake, but I fixed it and I made the picture cool. Anyway, so check it out. Okay, so this is the photo that I'm talking about. I posted it on Instagram. And of course, it doesn't look quite like this. And I shot it horizontally. So I noticed immediately when I got home and started editing it that the bottom right corner is where my big head was casting a shadow. My big body was casting a shadow into the leaves. So that kind of bummed me out because I think this was probably one of the best photos I took. Other than that, because of the grass and just the way the grass is somewhat framing the house, and the trees are continuing to frame the house, or the schoolhouse, and the schoolhouse, because it's such a contrast in color, stands out. So I really like this photo. So I had to try to get rid of that shadow. So what I would do is I bring it into Lightroom first, and of course I'm going to go and do an Instagram crop because that's where I knew I wanted to post my first photo. We're going to change the ratio, and I'll position it kind of like that, I think. That's probably what I did. And I'm going to hit done. And then on the bottom right corner, though, you could still see my big shadow, and it's real dark down there. Now, the photo's decent enough that you can look in the middle. Most people are going to look in the middle because of the way the lines are moving you towards it, and the contrast is moving you towards it. So it pops out, but I still don't like that bottom right corner. What I did do was I went and made a selective edit, and you can see it right here. So I'm going over here to selective edits. I'm clicking plus, and then I'm adding a edit right there, and then that lets me boost the exposure or delete the exposure or make it darker. And right now I'm using my pencil, the Apple Pencil, to go in and do that. So I think that's decent, but it's still not perfect. I could still see that bottom right corner has lost contrast, and it just bothers me. So what I've done is I've started to use a program called Enlight. So I'm going to export this, and we're going to go into Enlight, which is Photofox Enlight. And I'm going to open up a new project. And this is just an easy way to do this. I love doing light flares. You can do it in Photoshop. You can even do it in Lightroom. And but I like the selection that they have here. So I'll go to effects, and I'm going to go to light effects, and I think I used that one, except I brought it over here into the bottom right corner, something like that. And what that does is it kind of creates a cool light kind of light flare thing, and also it fills in that bottom right corner so you don't see my shadow as much. Now I still thought it needed something, so the top left corner got something too. I'll put another light flare in there, something like that, I think. And you could adjust the opacity. I like this Enlight the Enlight Photofox. You can adjust the opacity. I think I went not 100%, but something like that. And that's similar. That's kind of like the photo that I posted on Instagram, which I think is, oh, there I am talking. That one. And I like this one a lot more. I'm adding a lot of color to my photos now because I think that I'm transitioning as an artist a little bit to more colorful things, and that's a transition for me. I used to be darker edges and everything was a lot darker, but I'm changing. And so I might go back in like 5 years and look at this and say, dude, what are you doing? Why are you doing it this way? This is lame. And I might do that, but that's cool because that's the process of an artist, right? Is that we're constantly changing, we're constantly moving, we're trying new things, and I love this photograph. I think it's a lot of fun. And you could I hid my big blobby shadow.